Welcome back, welcome back. And today I want to talk about the Brutal Pherus team that I'm using. I've gotten this idea from ProfessorSeven, who is a YouTuber that mostly does new game or mid-game player guides, so I'm going to link his channel in the video. But he came up with that idea of this team like last Christmas already. It's just that back then I couldn't run this team because I got so insanely unlucky with getting Camilla that I have only gotten her like 4 to 5 months ago. Which is also since then I'm using this team and it is amazing. What you want is definitely 200% resistance on Camilla, so that Camilla cannot get stripped by Brutal Pherus, so that when she gets attack buff from Rose or Tamarinne, she wouldn't lose it when, as example, Brutal Pherus switches into the silence mode, however you want to call it, so that she still has a 100% chance to do its right with Taranor Guard and push up your entire team. But don't get me wrong, this team can still fail, because there is a chance that you actually run out of your attack buff at the exact same time when the boss goes into the silence phase, which essentially means when your units don't generate enough turns, then, like as example, all of them just have gotten their turn, and you don't proc a dual strike with Taranor Guard, you won't get your 6 turns. Then the boss moves and can literally wipe out your entire team. Well, okay, I guess Rose and Tama, maybe if your Camilla's tanky enough, could survive that. But then without Taranor Guard, you're essentially not doing any damage anymore. So yeah, besides that, technically, you just want to have as much damage as possible on your Taranor Guard. Giving him Victorious Flag actually is pretty nice because it also reduces the damage output onto him. My Rose is on Candlestick, but I guess any kind of artifact would do the deal. It's just that Candlestick, I guess, helps me having attack buff close to as often as possible, right? Because every now and then Camilla just doesn't have an attack buff. So yeah. Let's take a look at the units, right? So yeah, that's my Tamarinne. She needs a little bit of tankiness around what mine has is fine. Speed, she could be slower. Effectiveness and resistance in here is, in that case, literally just for the Dark Expedition. So for Brutal Pherus it is not needed at all. Magahara's Tome for her to cycle just as often as possible, right? So that's about Tamar. Then my Rose, I made her pretty tanky. She's probably too tanky as well. But yeah, I'm running her on Prophetic Candlestick like I said. If you are having problem with getting your Rose fast and tanky, you could also run the Sword of Azera, since it decreases the damage taken from bosses, which definitely helps her by a lot. If you don't know where you get it, it's from the Hall of Trials. Speed, she also doesn't have to be that fast, it's just nice if she is slower than your Camilla, because for me it's just so that after the first turn that my Camilla takes before the boss, I just want to have the attack buff for as long as possible after that. So for like 2 turns instead of 1, right? So yeah. And then there's my Taranor Guard. Like I said, just as much damage as possible. A little bit of effectiveness is fine in case Camilla doesn't give a defense break. Like obviously 85% would be ideal. It's just that for that I would have to sacrifice too many damage stats, so I decided not to. In general, he can work on much less damage. And like I said, Victorious Flag, since it gives him 16% more damage, as well as reduces the damage he gets. Just so that if that boss actually does a little bit of damage with his AoE, my Taranor Guard doesn't die. And then there's my Camilla. Like I said, I made her faster than Rose. Like sometimes Rose speed RNGs my Camilla because I have no imprints. But anyways, 85 effectiveness so that she always defense breaks. Definitely at least 140% resistance. And then Struck's Gauntlet to have the 200 resistance so that you won't get stripped by the boss. What you would also want to have is at least around the tankiness that I have, so that when the boss crits you into the silence phase, he doesn't drop you below the 50% threshold and then essentially has like a 30% chance to strip the attack buff anyway, or you just give her 170 rest then. But in general, just having a little bit more tankiness is fine. So yeah, and like I said, that team was from ProfessorSeven. He gave it to me 1 year ago, and I will link his YouTube channel in the description. He does new player and mid-game player guides, so if you're interested in it, check him out. Otherwise, hope you enjoyed it. Maybe it helped you get a better team. See ya!